Good morning, friends. How's everyone doing today? Grace and I are really excited for our weekly garden walk and talk. We have a lot of new lilies to show you. And the first thing that I want to share with you is that our experiment of planting lily bulbs in pots and then bringing them into the landscape right as they bloom was a great success. This is something I'm going to definitely repeat in the future. Not only is it nice to have a movable display, but it also allows you to see the picture before you put it in the ground permanently. And what I mean by that is that when you're working with a bulb of any kind and you plant it in the ground, you really have to use your imagination in terms of what that bulb looks like blooming in the landscape. And sometimes I feel like I get it right, and often I feel like I get it wrong. But by planting these lily bulbs in pots, I can move them around the garden until I'm happy with the picture. And then what I plan to do is plant them right where you see them today. But I want to do lots more bulbs in pots moving forward. So at the entrance to the main flower walk, we have Fall in Love Sweetly Anemone blooming. And right next to that, I have a new hedge of golden sage that's just starting to grow and fill in. And just a few days ago, I decided to add in some orange sun patience because after I saw the Kaveri lilies blooming in the pots and I saw that beautiful boldness and richness and brilliance that the orange lilies brought into the landscape, I wanted to add even more orange into the garden. I don't think I've grown sun patience ever, so if you have, can you please let me know, can they really handle full sun? Can they handle wet conditions? That's what the tag said, so we'll be putting them to the test here in my garden. And I also interplanted them around some newer perennials, just so that everything looks nice and full all summer long. You'll see there Saving Grace Dahlia is blooming in the main flower walk. I have her repeated over and over again, I think about maybe 10 or 12 times. I have 5 lily pots total with 7 lilies in each pot. And I got this idea from my mom, who has to grow all her lilies in pots because she struggles with rabbits and squirrels. And she finds that growing lilies in pots really helps eliminate all of the problems that you can face when you have lots of bunnies and squirrels visiting your garden. I really enjoyed it too because I just had these pots on our front porch until about a week ago, and at that point then I added them into the landscape, and so they were right next to my hose, really easy to water them every day, every other day. I'm just so excited about growing more plants in pots and then putting them in the landscape. So much fun. I'm really trying to get better about using the same plants over and over again in the main flower walk so that I can have bigger impact. So you'll see the Some Patience again, lots of catmint, Saving Grace over and over again. And the best part about Saving Grace is that the bees just adore her. She bloomed about a month after I planted the tubers. Oh, there's a bee right there. And she's just a beautiful bubblegum pink single dahlia with this lemon yellow center. I'd like to add in a few more sun patience right here. And over here on the other side, where we're underneath the shade of a cryptomeria, I planted some orange begonias. And I think those are going to look really beautiful. It says those are hardy down to 7A, and technically we are 7A now. So I'll be leaving those begonias in the ground, and I'll tell you how it goes. So the other day when we were cutting flowers together, I told you that it had been really hot here and very dry. Following that heat wave, we had a few big storms, and Annabelle did fall over. But you know what? It's not really bothering me this year. Maybe I'm just embracing that Annabelle falls to the ground. I normally try to pick her up or stake her ahead of time, but this year I decided I just wasn't going to worry about it. We have some gladiolus in bloom. I'm pretty sure this variety is called Vista, and we also have some cleome. I think we threw these cleome seeds into the garden 2 years ago because I used to have it over in the driveway garden, and one year we collected the seed and we just walked around the garden and threw seed everywhere. Speaking of throwing seeds and plants around, a few years ago we grew some Verbena bonariensis and we took cuttings of it. And this stand of Verbena that you see right here is seedlings from the cuttings. Just so beautiful. Once again, the butterflies are loving it. I love the airiness that it brings to the garden. And here's some more saving grace. A few sweet peas still in bloom. The ones that I had on the fence line that get full sun all day, they kind of bit the dust, but the ones within the main flower walk are still in bloom. Here you can see a hedge of golden sage that's a little bit older. Now we just planted this ornamental oregano a few weeks ago and it's already filling in beautifully, and it's even started to bloom within just the last few days. So let me get close on those blooms so you could see them. Beautiful purple blooms. And then in the cracks of the stone, I've seeded in creeping thyme. I got a jumbo pack of creeping thyme seed from a company called So Right Seeds, and I was really happy with these seeds. I just sprinkled them in between the cracks, and you can see a mixture of the creeping thyme and also some annuals that we had growing back here last year have seeded themselves in between the cracks of the stone. Eventually, I'm going to trim the thyme back so that it borders the stones. But for now, I'm just going to let it grow a little bit wild until it gets established. But I really think it's a wonderful fragrance to have. It's soft on your feet. It makes the stone a little bit cooler for Grace. And what I've been doing this week is adding a little bit more stone and a little bit more seed, courtesy of So Right Seeds, and I'll put a link to their website and Amazon page in the description section below, because I think a packet of seed was only about $5, and you can't beat that for the number of thyme plants that you're able to get out of that packet of seeds. So now let's go ahead and walk through all the raised beds. This year, I really wanted to have more of a potager feel. I was missing working in vegetable farm management. I was missing the amount of vegetables that I used to grow. And so I decided to mainly combine flowers, vegetables, and herbs. So this first bed has our mixed planting of forget-me-nots, bupleurum. We have a little bit of Dara in here coming back from another year, but mainly we have the seed line that I'm working on, which is going to be called Sharing Grace. So this is the children, the seed children of Saving Grace, which is what we have in the border. They're all going to be a little bit different because when you grow dahlias from seed, each bloom is uniquely different because a dahlia has 8 chromosomes. So there's lots of chances for it to be different color, different petal types, different petal count. And here we have, oh sorry, that was Grace in the background. Here we have Martha Miller. This is the dahlia that we named for my grandma, Martha Miller, and I believe that dahlia may be coming to market next year as well. So this bed has a bunch of different dahlias. They've just started to bulk up, and you can see some magic green feverfew and some forget-me-nots in this bed. So I wanted it to be a little more loose. I still wanted it to be a cutting garden, but I just didn't want row after row of flowers in raised beds. I wanted more of a loose cottage potager feel this year. Here we have a lily that is just amazing. If you're looking for a wonderful lily for cutting, this lily is called Royal Sunset. It always sells well at the flower stand, lasts a long time in the vase, just wonderful. And so you can see I'm just growing it along with some tomatoes, some cherry tomatoes. People are asking me about these stakes. These are from the no-dig fence that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. And so we have basil that we started from seed together. And you can even see some bupleurum in there. Oh, I'm sorry, not bupleurum. Bells of Ireland, more dahlias. And I love the airiness that this pink beauty saponaria brings to the raised bed. It's so beautiful. I like to use it cut in this pink flower stage. Also, after this pink flower stage, it'll turn into seed pods. And as long as you grab those seed pods green, they also are wonderful in a vase. Here it is mixed with the Royal Sunset Lily. I'm pretty sure Royal Sunset is an OA lily. I'll have to check that. It might be LA. And we still have some Forever Susan lilies to bloom here, and the lollipops already did bloom. And I'm going to be sticking with this orange and purple color palette for our spring bulbs. So all the tulips this year, I've already ordered them. They're all going to be orange, purple, and maroon. And I've ordered massive quantities of only 6 different varieties. We've got a lot more dahlias in here. David Howard. I snuck in some peppers and some artichokes into this garden. And you know what? Let me swing around to the other side of this bed so you can see it better. We have cucumbers growing up this trellis. Tomatoes, lilies, basil, bells of Ireland. This really brings me back to before I did YouTube, or excuse me, this really brings me back to before I started making YouTube videos. This is more what my raised bed garden used to look like, a mix of vegetables and ornamentals, because at that point I was still growing cut flowers in rows in front of the raised beds. Here we have a sunflower that I'm just crazy about. This is a new one. It's called Desert Sun. I highly recommend it. Nice and tall, a branching sunflower, long-lived, and the petals have a little bit of a sheen to it. So I've grown the Pro Cut bicolor before. I think this one is much nicer. I cut it. It lasted well in the vase. And here we have a planting of sunflowers, which I'm allowing to go to seed for the purpose of cutting and selling in the winter. If you look back, and I'll try to link it in the description section, I make these bird seed wreaths at Christmas time and sell those at the flower stand, and each one needs a really big sunflower head. So sometimes for me, sunflowers are more valuable as large seed heads later on in the winter than they are as cut flowers blooming, because so many of my neighbors sell cut sunflowers for a very small price. So that's why you see that sunflower bed going to seed. Here we have our strawflower and gladiolus planting. I don't think I'll repeat this again. The gladiolus are not doing that great. Some of them are blooming. Here we have the seashell mix. And here we have Peter Pear's gladiolas. I think it was just too overcrowded, not enough light to get in. I don't think I'll repeat that again, but it was worth trying. Live and learn, right? Hyacinth bean vine climbing up the trellis, radishes going to seed now, giving us more privacy back in the garden library. And so this is what the backyard looks like from the back corner of the raised bed. Just love seeing all the orange. Do you like it? Do you like orange? Do you like yellow? Do you like red? Do you like the hot, vibrant colors? There's something about orange. It just makes me happy. I don't know what it is. What's your favorite color in the garden? So let's circle around the hydrangea annex. Still nothing really going on there. And we can head through the hydrangea room. Back behind me, we are dealing with an issue. Our pear has fire blight again. We had that a few years ago. We thought we took care of it by just cutting it out, but this year it came back with a vengeance, and I'm not really sure why, but the tree is not doing well. So say a prayer for my pear tree, if you will. So now we arrive at the hydrangea room and hummingbird way. Some people were asking me about where I got these arches. These are from Plow and Hearth, and you can also get them on Amazon. I'll find a link for you, put it in the description section. I think this is such a wonderful garden. Not only is it easy to maintain, it was easy to lay out, but it's also a completely hidden garden, and I'm not sure I've ever said that before, but this garden is located 100% behind my garage. So you can't see it from any window inside my house. You can't see it when you pull into the property. You can't even really see it from the road. So it's really a secret garden, a private garden. And what's better than a secret garden? A secret hydrangea garden. So I do have one big surprise in store for the hydrangea room. And it's a big, big surprise, a loud surprise. Do you have any guesses? And I think the hydrangeas are still looking good. The color is starting to fade a little bit on Invincible Spirit too. But Mini Mauvette, Ruby, those ones with a more vibrant pink color, they're holding the pink really nicely despite the heat. And we got really hot and the humidity was really high too. We were having about 94% humidity and almost 100 degrees. Now what I'm pointing at here is that I did take out a panicle hydrangea, move that over to the library in very early spring, and I'm really happy I did that. You get a nicer view through the smooth hydrangeas. You're not stopped by the large panicle hydrangea. I think that was a good choice, and I'm glad I went ahead and moved that really big hydrangea. We talked about how Annabelle had kind of flopped over in the storm. So let's circle around the hydrangea room and take a look at Incrediball, which is the improved version of Annabelle. And since we had that storm, we can really tell the difference. Here we have Incrediball, and it's basically completely unfazed. You would never know we had a big storm come through. But you can see there on the left of your screen where Annabelle has really fallen over. So now let's travel back down the main flower walk. I decided to film when the sun was out because I thought it might be nice to see the birds, the butterflies, and the bees. Oh, was that a monarch butterfly? Oh, there it is again. I think we might be seeing our first monarch butterfly of the season together. What a special day. This is definitely the orange garden tour. Orange lilies, orange butterflies. What could be better than that? So let's pop by this lily before we head over to the driveway garden. This lily is easily, I would say, 6.5 feet tall. It's called Eastern Moon. I think 2 weeks ago I said it didn't have a significant fragrance. Friends, I need to take that back. In the evening, you really can't smell it, and it has a wonderful fragrance. So I apologize for the misinformation that I gave you that other week. I guess when it first starts blooming, you don't really notice it. But now that it's really in full bloom, it's definitely just a wonderful fragrance after all. All right, so here's one last look at the main flower walk on July 2nd in full sun. Now let's head over to the driveway garden, and we are going to completely switch color palettes because everything is pink and white over there with a dash of red. Let's head that way. I think we have about 4 or 5 different kinds of lilies blooming in the driveway garden, and there's a succession of lilies that will happen starting now and continuing on for about a month. So we'll keep revisiting this garden and seeing different lilies bloom. But right here in the front we have Rose Lily Samantha, which is this beautiful double oriental lily, a light fragrance on that, and such a wonderful color. That would be great for the baby shower. We still have some Dara, but for the most part I have pulled out all the cool flowers and replaced them with zinnias. We have some Lucifer crocosmia. My grandma grew tons of that, and when I visited her garden many years after she passed, maybe 10 to 15 years later, crocosmia was one of the only things that remained after someone else took over. So here we have the gaucho lily. What a great lily. So tall. I would say that one's about 6 feet tall. You can see I'm staking it up, giving it some help after the storm. Here we have a new one to me called Marlin. This one is so beautiful. And it's only maybe 3 feet tall now, but that's just because I planted the bulbs in the spring. So it'll be much taller next year, at least 4.5 feet. There it is again. And some people were asking me about the yew hedge that we put in last year. So it's doing good. It's growing well. They were really small plants when we put them in. You can see a lot of weeds have blown in back here, but that's all right. I'm not really too worried about that. But in time, we will have a beautiful evergreen backdrop for this Invincible Spirit 2 hedge. So that's a look at how the driveway garden looks this week. So friends, thanks so much for joining me for our weekly garden walk and talk. Until next time, Grace and I want to wish you happy gardening. Bye.